You all know that the Ford F-150 is the top-selling vehicle in North America. And on top of this, the F-150 XLT is one of the top 2 selling trims. So why on earth does the XLT have the world's worst turn signals that look like they came straight from 1974? Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you have an F-150 XL, STX, or XLT model, in this video, I'm going to show you how to upgrade those awful halogen turn signals and get into the 2020s with some super bright LEDs that are going to show the world where you are going. I like to share my obsession with turn signals for a moment, talk about why this matters, and what the signal lighting differences are between the different levels of trim on the late model F-150. Everything I talk about in this video is regarding the 21, 22, and 23 models, although much of it will be applicable to models predating 2021. I am absolutely OCD about using turn signals to broadcast my intentions to other drivers. Not only is it a courtesy to other drivers to let them know which way you intend to go, but it's life and death on today's distracted roads. You've got to do everything you can to attract the attention of other drivers away from their phones and towards your vehicle, especially if you're changing your path. So when I use my turn signals to change lanes or make a turn, I really count on other drivers to be able to see me and my signals. And this job has been made harder for my 2022 F-150 XLT because it's quite possibly the worst signal arrangement in the entire F-150 lineup. Let's dive into this to see what we can do and how I fixed it. Let's step back for a second and discuss what different turn signals are available for late model F-150s by trim level. Before we do that, we have to define the difference between a European spec turn signal versus a North American spec turn signal. The European spec is on the left-hand side. The amber light is always used for the turn signals, which you can see here, the yellow, and the red areas for lights and brakes. So it's dual purpose. When your headlights go on, this goes dim. You've seen this before. And then when you step on the brake, this goes very bright. So it's dual purpose European spec, very visible, very noticeable when you're out there driving. On the right-hand side is the F-150. This is a North American spec. Everything is red. You'll not notice any kind of amber or any kind of dual purpose lighting. In fact, there's 2 bulbs here and they do all the work of not only the tail lights where you turn on your headlights and your tail lights go on, as well as the other filaments or for brake lights and signaling. If you've done any driving at all, you know that the European spec is a lot more noticeable and there's a lot less ambiguity about your intentions of whether you're stopping, changing lanes, or turning. Let's see what the different trim levels of the F-150 use for this rear turn signaling. First of all, we'll start with the XL and STX trims. From what I can tell, both of these use the same kind of taillights. And you can see this best on the STX trim here on the right-hand side. The upper bulb is for an amber turn signal. The lower bulb here, this is for reverse backup lights. And then this red light here services as both the brake light and the tail light. Now for the XL and the STX trims, they all use halogen bulbs to save money, but both of those are the same. They use the same rear housing with these using the European spec. Now, if we go up a model to the XLT, this is where we have a North American standard. You can see this best on the right-hand side. We have 2 signal lights, one above, one below. They do exactly the same thing. So they have dual filaments for either tail lights, braking, or turn signaling. And the braking and turn signaling operates in parallel. So there's no differentiation between these 2 bulbs in terms of them braking or offering a signal lamp. And of course, we have this nice LED unit back here for the backup lights. So near as I can figure, this is the only F-150 with the North American spec taillight housing. Now, if we get up to the Lariat or King Ranch Platinum, the limited trim, anything else, Raptor, you're going to have this very, very nice rear taillight housing, which is going to have an LED strip kind of a marker light that goes around here. You've got the bliss module here. You've got an upper turn signal, which is amber, which is the European spec. And you also have red brake lights as well. So it's a very, very nice unit, operates through the European spec, and it's also very expensive to buy. So here's the bottom line. The XLT is the only late model F-150 trim that not only uses the inferior North American taillight standard, but also uses halogen bulbs. So let's see what I can do to improve the signaling visibility on my F-150 XLT. If you follow this process that I went through to improve my signal lights, you might find that it's going to save you some time and money down the road. One obvious option would be to upgrade my taillight assemblies to a Lariat model, right? Just get new units and just pop them in there. Started to look around for those units, and it looks like they're running anywhere from $600 to $900 a piece. By the time you add shipping and probably new wiring harnesses to make them, the XLT, go up to the Lariat spec, probably be looking at $2,000. And this is way beyond what I wanted to spend for this project. I would have similar expensive issues were I to downgrade to the taillight assembly from an XL model. So I believe the bliss function would be missing or impaired. Also would be a lot of money for a limited functional improvement. I get the Euro spec taillights, but I lose a lot of functionality in the process. So let's go LED for the lights. If I can't or won't upgrade to a Euro spec taillight assembly, then I believe that I can still make a significant improvement by using LED signal lighting. Let's compare LED versus halogen signal lights for a second. I think that most people would agree through personal experience that LED signal lights are better than halogen or incandescent lamps. HP thinks so too and wrote a white paper on it, which you can find on the internet. And here is one of the most important things, is the turn on time. I can't believe that there's not a better term for this, but if you start with the lamp at 0 voltage across the lamp and it's completely dark, and then you apply the signal voltage, what you're going to find with halogen or any incandescent light is that you've got a filament which has to heat up before it starts producing visible light. And in this case, it takes about 250 to 300 milliseconds before it achieves full brightness. Now, if you compare that versus an LED bulb, it achieves 100% brightness nearly instantaneously, or at least as far as the eye can see. But the eye definitely can see this slow turn on time of an incandescent or halogen bulb. So this slow turn on time and then persistence, so it kind of goes like this. It lights up, and then when you disable the voltage to the bulb, it slowly cools off. And so it builds sort of a sine wave instead of what we see from LED lighting, which is totally on like a step function here and then totally off, almost like a square wave like this. And this sharp on-off lighting is much more noticeable to the human eye versus the soft on-off of the halogen bulb. And here's the bottom line from HP. Light emitting diodes, or LEDs, illuminate 200 milliseconds faster than incandescent bulbs. For an automobile, this means faster braking distance response time, about a full car length of extra stopping distance at 65 miles an hour. It's a no-brainer, right, using LEDs. So I'm going to convert my slow halogen signal lights to LED for my F-150 XLT. What kind of bulbs do I need, and where do I find them? Now, I'm no different than any other US consumer. This should be a pretty easy process, right? Find out the current bulb spec, search on Amazon, order, install, game over. So it wasn't that easy, and I'm glad I saved a lot of time and money by doing my research first before ordering stuff and then having to return it. And I hope I'm going to save you a lot of time and hassle as well by you watching this video. I popped out the current halogen bulbs. On the front turn signals, there is 2 of these bulbs, and they're both 4257 spec. And these just pop right out. You just pull them straight out. And there's 4 of these in the rear with a slightly different number, which is a WT21/7W. So there's 4 of those in the rear,
and there's 2 of the 4257s in the front turn signals. So you know the drill. Head over to Amazon and search on those numbers. And I got all kinds of results all over the map. Quite honestly, some were maybe $10 for 1 or 2, and some were in excess of $60 for the lights. And then I started to do a little bit of reading. Kindly note that a 50 watt, 6 ohm load resistor or flash relay may be required to avoid the error code and or hyper flash issue. So these were some of the cheaper LED bulbs that I was able to source on Amazon. And I started to see like, really? I have to put load resistors on here? And this is where I start to notice that this might be a little bit more complex of a project than I originally thought. Now, before I go any further, we have to answer, what the F is hyper flashing. I'd heard this term before, didn't know what it was until I read about it. And then I realized that I've known this for a long time. Hyper flashing is the old signal that you'd get when one of your bulbs would burn out and all of a sudden your turn signals would flash at least twice as fast as they normally would. So that was your clue to get out and look at your signal lamps front and rear and see which turn signal bulb was burnt out. The problem with LEDs is they cause hyperflashing. Most of them do, because the LED bulb does not draw as much current and it upsets the timing of the flash circuit. So that the car is trying to be smart. It's trying to tell you when it senses a low current situation, and a low current situation, it's been programmed to think that that means that one of your bulbs is out. And so while both bulbs may be working fine, your car thinks that there's not enough current, so it fires off the hyperflashing. So to fix the hyperflashing, what you have to do is you have to get one of these big load resistors and then wire it in parallel, and then mount that load resistor and heat sink away the heat that it's going to create during times of either braking or turn signals. This is what we call a ballast resistor to simulate the resistance of a halogen bulb. Look, guys, I love to do projects like this. I've been sniffing solder fumes since I was 7 years old. What a horrible kludge of a solution, and what a pain in the ass to install. And I know, based on doing mods like this before in the past, that these are the mods that are most likely to fail with any kind of vibration or just normal road wear and tear. So I thought to myself, there's got to be a vendor offering LED lighting with built-in ballast resistors that will not hyperflash. And so I found these guys, which are undergroundlighting.com. Now, I'm sure that these are not the only vendors in the space doing this sort of lighting and offering these sort of products, but I found these guys, ordered them, got the units in within 2 days. I'm very happy with the results so far. So what I needed was 2 of these. These on the left-hand side are the ambers. Remember, this is the XLT version that I have to fix. So 2 of these up front, and then 4 of these. These are red. What you don't want to do is put amber lights behind a red lens. It won't work. And so you want to go with 4 reds for the XLT. If you're trying to fix the XL or the STX, then you can use 2 of these being red and then 2 of these being the amber type for your actual turn signal. So if you're fixing the XL or STX, make sure you pick appropriately depending on if you're using the Euro spec or, like in my case, the XLT with all 4 being red in the rear. Let's get right to the installation. Before I change these out, what I do want to show you is the stock halogen bulbs from the rear. First of all, you can see the turn signals and then the brake lights when they both go on. And you've seen this a million times before, but you can see that very soft response from the halogen lights. You want to start the process by unscrewing the 2 8mm head screws that are located in the tailgate. And then pop the tail light out to the side, not to the rear, but to the side. There's 2 small plastic tabs inside. Be very gentle with those. Squeeze the tabs on the connectors so that you can unplug the taillight assembly from the wiring harness. Different trim levels will have different wiring harnesses and different connectors. Locate the two taillight bulbs on either side of the unit and remove them by turning counterclockwise the bulb assembly, lefty-loosey, remember, and then pull them straight out. And then you can remove the bulb from the socket by pulling it straight out. You don't have to twist it. Don't twist it. Pull it straight out, and that will remove the bulb. Do it on both of them. The new bulbs get installed by just pushing them straight back in. You should hear them snap as you push it into the socket properly. Reinstall the exact opposite way that you took it all apart. Let's test it out. I still have the old turn signal in the left-hand side, the brand new turn signal in the right-hand side, and man, what a difference. And now let's look at both sides converted to LED. And I think you'll agree that there's a significant difference. Even though it's not as good as Eurospec, and certainly not as good as a Lariat, this is significantly better than the old halogen bulbs. Now we're going to move to the front turn signals. You've got to peel back this area of felt, which is a wheel liner, and you need 7mm socket heads. There's 3 screws that you have to remove. Peel back the felt, move the tire out of the way, and then reach up to where you believe that the turn signal area is and undo that bulb. Just to make sure it's the right bulb that you're removing, I took my key out and locked and unlocked the vehicle to make sure that there was a flash. Yep, it's the correct bulb. So to remove this one, again, you pull it straight out. For some reason, this one's a bit more difficult to pull out than the rears. The new LED unit goes in exactly the same way the old halogen goes out. It goes straight in, takes a pretty good push to get it in there. And then once again, use your key to lock and unlock the vehicle to make sure that it flashes and that it's working before you put it back in and screw it back into the housing. Here's the new LED unit on the left-hand side versus the old halogen on the right-hand side. Again, pretty dramatic difference. And here's both of the units replaced up front. Here's what this looks like from the rear at night and also from the front. People can see me now. Congratulations, you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thank you very much for doing that. Now, since you're one of the committed ones that are looking for information like this, do me a favor, if you got some value out of this video, please subscribe to the channel. I don't put out that many videos, so you're not going to get hounded. If I get a few more subscribers on this channel, then it allows me to invest into more projects to create more videos, and everybody wins. Second favor I'd like to ask from you is if you have any other ideas for projects, any other comments, anything like that, suggestions, please put them in the comments below. I love interacting with you guys, and I'll look forward to your comment. I'll look forward to your subscription. See you in the next video. Thanks.